Hi all, I'm Cullen Haynes and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, episode 79. Can you believe we're up to episode 79? It is near the end of the year. If you're tuning in, this is live at 5:15, the drive home session on Wednesday, the 19th of November. And my next guest is an absolute powerhouse. Met him over 8 years ago. Michael Bromley, if you're listening, and Marchek from Beyond Billables at the time. We were at a Brizzy event, one of our first sponsorship events, which we're ever thankful to Beyond Billables. They're absolute legends. Check out Mike Bromley. And we met Dugold at the event. And ever since, he's been a close connection of mine. I've been watching his firm grow to 3 Legal. And we'll talk about why it's called that in a moment, because it's just gone from strength to strength. Dugold has had over 16 years in the legal space and is here to talk about rebuilding the law, tech, transparency, and the future of legal practice. Can you please make very welcome the one, the only, broadcasting from Brisbane, Mr. Dugald Hamilton. Welcome to the show, Dugald.
Thanks, Cullen. How you doing, mate?
Very, very well there, sir. And how's everything in your circle of influence? What's been happening?
Look, it's pretty solid work-wise at the moment, heading into the Christmas rush period. Otherwise, life's pretty good. I mean, weather in Brisbane is playing ball. We've had a lot of storms recently, but right now today, beautiful blue skies. We're an hour behind you with the lack of daylight savings up here, but it's the way I kind of like it, being a country kid. So,
me too. And tell me, let's get into it at the start. What does the 2 and the 3 mean in 2-3 Legal?
So it started from the concept when I was planning the firm back in 2016 when I was in the planning stages. Realized very quickly that when people were speaking to me, they already had a problem. So the first step was taken care of. You need to have a problem, because dispute lawyers, we really are the experts in dealing with problems. Secondly, then the 2 came along where they needed to have the right lawyer. And I'm not necessarily the right lawyer for anyone. If you need a lawyer for anything, I can find that. But find yourself the right lawyer. And then step 3, the way legal professions really changed since I started and then moving forward through to today is it's become more of a collaboration experience between us and the clients to really focus in on what they want the end result to be. It's not sort of the old school way of the client dumps us with the problem, we go off and fix it. It was really designed around building that collaboration with the client to help them sort of achieve their end result with all of this.
Yes.
That's right.
So, I love how that has come together, and do you feel like you've been able to build on that ever since launching the business from the initial idea to implementation?
Yeah, it's still going strong to this day. Like it still feeds into every interaction I have with, my clients, with the barristers I work with, and then even through to when we're trying to resolve matters with other parties. It's all sort of tied in together, and it just works. I still love getting up every day and doing this. I mean, look, like every job, there's frustrations that come along with it, but I can't see myself doing anything else.
Amazing, my friend. And look, on that note, you've had a long and storied career. How would you describe them if you had to describe them in just film titles, my friend?
Oh, mate, it's I actually go back to the first DVD I bought when I first bought my first DVD player. I spent the summer cotton shipping on some friends' farms to make some money to buy a DVD player. There were very few DVDs out at the time, but I got Devil's Advocate, which is an amazing
Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino.
Perfect. Charlize Theron back in the early days. And it has that real pull of good versus evil, and and litigation has that element because we all think we're on the side of good when you're acting for your clients, and the other side is the evil, but you're sort of sitting in that devil's advocate position of having to navigate these sort of interesting pathways through the law. So I actually think that's one of the great legal movies out there that's probably a little underrated in the scheme of things. That's the one I always come back to.
Absolutely. If you haven't seen Devil's Advocate, I can personally attest it's an absolute amazing movie. Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino and Charlize Theron, of course. We are live, guys, so please put your questions to this behemoth in YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X, Live. We got Steffi joining, saying it's a dapper jacket. Thanks, Steph. And obviously proudly brought to you by Legal.
Most well-dressed human when I come across you.
Look, thank you so much. Look, it does get hot in a three-piece, I must say. I did run in a three-piece as well. And then whenever I come to Brisbane, I don't know whether it's the proper attire. I do get a few looks when I walk down the street. It's like, where did this guy, what's he wearing this three-piece for? What's he doing?
Yeah, suits are usually reserved for court, at least for my line of work. So.
Correct. Every time I saw someone wearing a suit, especially on the weekend, I'm like, that guy's in real estate or he's going to the races. There's something going on there. But nonetheless, look, we've talked about the 2-3 legal journey, and you worked on some of Australia's largest and complex litigation matters. Let's be honest. Any stories that have shaped your perspective on law and dealing with clients that you can share?
Look, I think it all just still comes back to the same thing, is that we're just trying to achieve something meaningful for the client at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter whether you're fighting over, $100 or $100 million. The law is pretty much the same, right? So
yes,
it's trying to help clients understand that and help them get along their journey. Recently, I basically have been involved since day one of the firm in this very, very large flood matter that's still ongoing, but we were wholly successful in that. And that was a very sort of amazing experience. I worked with two very experienced senior counsel and myself, and it was a 3-week trial over 2 years. It's now in the Court of Appeal for a component of it, but
wow,
that was probably one of the most challenging but rewarding cases I've ever been involved with. And it's matter number 2 for the firm, and it's been pretty much, I would say, one of those matters that come along once in your career, and it had a lot of different and complex elements. It set some very interesting precedent in the expert law space, with the Court of Appeal decision partway through the trial. And so, I think being involved in those sort of cases is personally what I do this for, but it then gives me the ability to help all my other clients, because you get this amazing experience, because trials are few and far between in the litigation space. Most things settle. It's not really cost effective to run things to trial, and people get sick of paying legal fees and they want to get out of it. So we always try to look for commercial resolutions where we can.
No, that makes total sense. And in terms of the way tech has shaped 2-3 legal, because when we met 8 years ago, right? Like, you were one of the first lawyers that was talking about tech stacks and making sure your tech is optimized. Those things are mainstream now, but you were doing things differently along with Demetria Zio at Law Squared as well, right? Like, tell me a little bit more how tech has shaped the way you've grown 2-3 legal with a modern tech-focused approach.
It's actually shaped my entire life. Like, I was very fortunate to grow up with a computer very early in my life. When my old man got a scholarship from the government to go to university in the Netherlands when I was a kid. So we ended up living there, but they gave him a laptop this is 1988. So we're talking very early days. So I was 4, turning 5 at that sort of era. I remember the early stages of computer games, had an Atari. So tech for me has always been something super interesting that I've been passionate about. And I've always tried to stay informed about the cutting edge of technology. And when I started the firm, I started to look at the way I'd previously practiced, the amount of admin support I needed, the amount of paper we were generating. I remember watching pallets in the sort of months after leaving my home, just taking notice of what the old firm I was at was doing. There were pallets of paper coming in. And then I was like, well, how much does paper actually cost? And started doing some research on that. Turns out was at that stage probably about $8 a page when you factored in every element from purchasing all the way through to storage for 7 years, and went, well, it's unsustainable. What's the future look like? And sort of went, well, it has to be technology. It has to be digital. Let's retrain myself from scratch. And so invested heavily in the tech side of things. Still do to this day. I've just changed my entire systems this week. I'm effectively starting new practice management systems, moving everything into a Microsoft base away from legal tech. And we can talk about why if you want to get into my current views on legal technology. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I just saw it being the next stage, and it had to work this way. And you're starting to see the profession catch up. It's, the courts are starting to become more digital. We're moving into more online hearings, digital signing of documents, and all of the stuff that sort of came through COVID. I was fully set up for partly because I wanted to be able to travel the world, but still had to run a business. So realized I had to be able to be portable and, could plug the laptop in anywhere in the world and work.
No, mate, it makes total sense, and I'm endeared by what you're saying. And I think it goes into you've said yourself you're a self-professed tech geek. So do you think this has influenced the way you approach legal practice? Because if I'm not mistaken, when we last met in Brisbane with the incomparable Rebecca Basutti from IRQ Law, we were talking about how you coded some things yourself and basically delved into it. Like, that's pretty amazing that you were able to do that, right?
And still am. I had a disclosure matter recently where we couldn't afford the U-Butte disclosure software that's out there,
Yes.
and been fiddling a little bit with ChatGPT and thought, well, let's see how this coding element works. I had a couple of friends in the tech space in law who I chat to regularly about this stuff, and they're using AI to build their own agents and stuff like that. I'm like, oh well, look, let's see what ChatGPT can do. And about 2 hours of mucking around with ChatGPT, I was able to code effectively a basic disclosure software to output what we needed to do at a huge saving to the client. It wouldn't suit large scale disclosure, but we were only dealing with about 1,000, 2,000 documents. So it actually saved me a lot of time and saved the client a lot of money being able to do that. So the new world we're delving into with AI space, which is partly why I've moved back into the Microsoft world, because of the huge investment that is they and OpenAI and Samsung and Apple are all putting in. It seemed to be the sensible choice, and likely the next stage of the practice is having to deal with the AI revolution once the bubble bursts, of course, but it's not going to disappear.
No, very, very good. I was going to ask you what's a surprising skill, but I think that is surprising enough, that the fact that you're able to code, my friend. How does one unwind?
This is a great thing about ChatGPT.
Yes.
You don't need to be able to code. You just need to be able to explain what you need, and then it talks you through the whole Python scripting. So it tells you what to download, how to input it, and then you just copy error notes across. Tells you how to fix it. Oh, it's actually amazing. This is partly why tech companies are laying off coders and their tech support en masse at the moment, because they're moving heavily into this AI coding workspace. I think we'll see a shift back at some point. It's inevitable people will move back into the human element because of how humans are, but it will hopefully save a lot of people money and time in the long run.
Very good, my friend. We've already got some people joining, saying hi. We've got everyone comes out of nowhere, so I don't know where they're coming from. We got Kimberly on YouTube saying hi, and we got some of the interesting people coming out. They've said, Cullen, you suck. Thank you, Tamika Jones. All I can say is wishing you luck and green lights, and I always say, love me or hate me, at least now you know me. This is what we're doing there, Dugold. We've got to give the people what they want, right? But how do you unwind after a particularly tough day, my friend? Tell me a story.
Look, it really depends on how tough it's been. If it's been after my big trials, my big matters, I generally try to leave the country for a couple of weeks, get away completely, because otherwise, if you don't, and I've fallen foul of this myself, if you don't give yourself these distinct breaks, you'll end up burning yourself out. And,
of course,
long periods of intense work, the brain capacity just dwindles very quickly. And so I generally try to travel ideally once a year, but it just really depends on what that is. Otherwise, I spend time with my fantastic fiance, She's an amazing cook. She's Polish, so I get a lot of delicious Polish food. We do a lot of.
What's your fiance's name, if we can shout her out?
Katarzyna or Kasha, but she goes by Kat in the profession.
Shout out to Kat. Wonderful fiance.
Yeah, so she's awesome. Yeah, and then otherwise, I like doing things around the house, so I'm relatively handy. I build things out of wood. We're currently doing house renos, something crazy, so that keeps me pretty occupied. Otherwise, amateur aquascaper, so I have an aquarium that I tinker with every day.
That's so cool.
Yeah, well, like I think it's cool. She thinks it's a bit lame and boring, but then can't stop staring at it. Particularly when all my
that's not cool. And then
I know, right? Yeah, it's an underwater garden, right? So that's pretty much yeah. And otherwise, mate, like I'll still love my computer games. Play this Don't Starve Together. It's a survival cartoon game that is insanely hard when you start, gets very easy once you figure it out, and then gets really hard when you start to actually do some of the fun stuff. So that's sort of the main stuff. And then I do unfortunately get locked into some of the doom scrolling some days, but I try to avoid it if I can.
Naturally. And look, guys, we are halfway through the stream. Come to me with any of your questions or insults. We're welcome to both. I was going to ask you, we talked about ways to relax. Are there any exciting personal projects or professional projects that you're wanting to share, or you're particularly proud of right now, Dugold?
Look, I'm really enjoying the house renos. Aside from the disastrous bathroom renovations we had, but they all turned out well in the end. We had to put a pool in, so all that stuff sort of keeps me moving along. It gives me like when I'm working in my woodworking workshop, I sort of have to be very focused. So it allows me to shut off from the world. My fiance, she hears my safety lectures over and over about, making sure she's wearing safety equipment and not to sneak up behind me when I'm operating a chainsaw or something. But
absolutely, don't breathe in any asbestos, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, look, I got an old 1930s odd workers' cottage, so there is asbestos in the ceiling, but we always get that removed by professionals. Otherwise, just getting married next year in Poland, so that's the main exciting thing on the table. So planning all of that, and
which city?
So she's from Krakow, so we're just getting married just outside Krakow. Yeah, so yeah, it's I think it's one of the most underrated European cities. So highly recommend traveling there if you haven't.
Absolutely. My brother stayed there for a few years, and he speaks Polish as well. So he speaks very highly. I haven't been, but I want to. What's the date of the big day that you're going?
It's August next year. But yeah, no, look, Polish is a very hard language to learn, as I'm finding out, but it's I actually really enjoy it. So that's one of the other passion projects I've got going on in the background is Polish studies. So and yeah, so it keeps me very exciting. And then we do some Polish folk dancing for fun as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Any moves you can bust out on the stream now, or it needs
no. Need to warm up the old hammies in the back. To be honest, it takes a little bit to get into it.
That's okay. On the Polish language, I only know one word, but it's a swear word, and it's too probably indecent to say, but you probably all know what it is. It's the only word I know, let me tell you. It may or may not start with a K or a C, but nonetheless, where do you see the legal profession heading in the next 5 to 10 years, especially with technology, AI, and the new ways of working, Dugold?
Look, the tech side is, I think, the really interesting component, and there's a great quote by Bill Gates, which was along the lines of, we always overestimate what we can achieve in 2 years, but underestimate what we'll achieve in 10.
Yes.
The tech stuff in law is really going to be dependent upon the court system and the government system, largely because they really govern how lawyers operate on the whole. Look, particularly when you're talking property transactions, court transactions, it's all still government stuff. So the property stuff is moving into PEXA, which is really good on the tech side. The courts are slowly catching up. They've gotten a hell of a lot better from when I started, and you're printing reams of paper and trudging up and filing stuff. The digital world is slowly getting there. Still a little bit clunky. but it's still, it's good to see. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see clients themselves operating more independently in the legal space. The AI, ChatGPT stuff, there will be a lot of self-help, and we'll have to navigate that as lawyers, which will come with a whole range of ethical issues, which we're seeing reported on in the AFR and internationally sort of weekly
all the time.
about how lawyers shouldn't use AI. But I think that's part
Fact
of it.
check,
We'll
people.
see
Fact check. Come on.
even worse than that, just sanity check as well. But then I think from that, it will actually hopefully spurn a more informed client, and they'll become more discerning in the way they use legal practitioners. And that in itself will help us, because we'll be able to have more, I guess, direct and sophisticated conversations with them, but then also help them guide and achieve their own results. Otherwise, I really hope the profession just continues to do what it's always done and help people. It's pretty much what it was designed to do. We forget about it some stages, because we do become commercialized businesses, and we do operate in that sort of space. We're at risk in some respects from an Uber-like threat, despite our law societies and insurers thinking that it won't ever happen. I can very clearly see how it could.
Yes.
And particularly in certain areas, conveyancing, wills and estates, it's ripe for some areas of disruption. And navigating that will definitely be something, I think, in the next sort of 10 years or so easily. We'll see it. You're starting to see a lot of online platforms in those spaces anyway, but it only takes one or two big international players to see that there's a market here to take it on, and it could really sort of shake things up.
Of course. We're already seeing it in the mortgage broking land. 77% of loans are written through the 22,000 brokers now, right? But, there's smart banks out there that are probably watching, and they've invested a lot in tech, and they want their clients back. And this AI thing is going to help them do that. So same in the way in the legal realm, like you said, the big players are watching and going, how can we streamline this? And, it may cut into people's lunch, as it were. But, not all doom and gloom. I want to make it a little bit fun as well. So switching gears, what's the most unusual or unexpected client request you've ever have handled? Anonymous, of course, but what's any funny anecdotes or anything you can tell us?
I think the reality about my job is everything's unusual, really. The sort of disputes I deal with, like even this flood matter, for example. I never thought I'd become a semi-expert in water hydrology and surveys and all these sorts of issues, but it's the great thing about what I do, and it's so varied and interesting that I get these I guess what are unusual requests from clients, but it's my job to figure out how to sort of circumnavigate that and figure out the answer and push forward. And through that, you get to learn these really interesting areas of, science or law or other elements that you never would have thought you'd be delving into when you're sort of a young uni student learning, theories of contract or constitutional law sort of thing. But yeah, I think the reality is it's all just unusual and interesting. I wouldn't really be able to pinpoint one specific thing, to be honest.
No, I love that. It does sound like the matter of a life. It sounds like Aaron Brockovich style. I don't know, like hexavalent chromium or something. Like, sounds like it has been pretty unusual, but pretty rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, and look, anytime I get to spend in a courtroom is fun, and that's why I became a litigator. I love the sort of, the experience of being in a room and hearing these amazing barristers argue these matters and sort of assisting them in that, and then assisting my clients. But yeah, courtroom stuff is, I sort of describe the trials to clients a little bit like an Olympic Games for us. You get to do one probably once every 2 to 4 years. You got to do a hell of a lot of work up, and then it's over within 1 to 3 weeks. Sort of thing.
So much preparation.
Exactly, and it's hard for clients to trust an independent arbitrator to make their decisions for them, which is why most things settle, because they get to take control. But not everything can go down that route, and when you get to it, there's always a judge who's willing to do that. So,
good point. Good point. And look, we all have help along the way and people that have inspired us. Is there anyone you want to shout out, or any biggest influences or mentors in your life, Dugold, who it would be a crime not to mention?
Oh, mate, look, there are many, many, as you would expect. You sort of don't survive 16 years in law. Through that, I mean, my parents obviously and my brothers, massive, massive supporters. My close uni friends, the drunk elephants, we all like to. We all still practice and we all still whinge about it every day. But after 22, 23 years worth of friendship, we're still all hanging in there. We still chat every day over messages, even though we're sort of spread throughout the world now. My fiance, she's awesome. She keeps me sane these days, and keeps me very well fed, and lets me do what I need to do to run the firm. But then we get to enjoy life because of that. So yeah, look, I think, and then there's too many people in the actual law world to really mention. Like, there's so many people who've influenced me and had a hand in sort of supporting me to really start to name them. I'd end up missing 95% of them, unfortunately.
Makes sense. But, shout out to all the people that you mentioned. It's very special to be part of Dugald Hamilton's orbit. If you could change one thing about the way law is practiced in Australia, what would it be, Dugald, and why?
I probably have to say we need to be less regulated. There are a lot, like running a business of law, there are a lot of things we need to do and a lot of hoops we have to jump through that probably contribute to the way in which legal fees are escalating. And it makes it difficult for a lot of clients to access lawyers and access them at a, affordable rate. And where, like you're seeing with the housing issues in Australia, the unaffordability, a lot of things, as you're probably experiencing in the mortgage world. Law is at risk of pushing that way as well, where it becomes inaccessible to a large amount of people. And so helping law firms run themselves with less overheads and less regulation, with still operating in the ethical environment we need to do, would probably be, from the business owner perspective, of what I would like to see sort of the change in law.
Okay. Yeah. Cogent insights indeed, my friend. And look, same sort of question, but to the younger generation, what key lessons or advice would you like to impart to those starting out in law or a professional career, would you say?
I think probably the best thing I ever did, and the best thing that I was sort of taught in the very early stages from the people I worked with, was you can never stop learning. You need to factor into your salary package every year probably the equivalent amount of money in terms of learning you need to extract.
Great point.
Through that, you need to absorb and be involved as much. And law can be one of those professions where you work long hours, but the long hours come with the ability to learn a hell of a lot faster than you would in a standard 9-to-5 job. And from that, you then can do some pretty interesting and amazing things. It enabled me at 32 to start my own law firm. There's all those sorts of things that, without being tons of knowledge and learning as much as I could in the early stages, I'd be still years behind.
No, very, very important points there, that never underestimate the value of the education and the learning you get on the job, which could be and it is priceless. And look, really appreciate you imparting this wisdom to us. Like, we're getting towards the end of the stream. I want to ask you this question to round us out before we come with bonus questions. When all is said and done one day, Dugold, and you shifted off this mortal coil, how would you like to one day be remembered, mon ami?
I actually don't give much thought to that, but I think ultimately just someone who helped people. Like, that's really what we do, right? Like, you just got to be someone who, when people are in there, people don't come and see me unless there's something bad that's going to happen financially to them. So I just hope at the end of the day that when, people look back, it's, well, he helped.
Amazing. And you certainly did there, Dugold. And we've already got someone just wishing you well before the end of the stream. We've got Alonzo McKinsey from, I don't know where, but in YouTube, saying, just want to say, geez, loves you and congrats on getting married. what a great thing to enjoy. So there you go. Thanks, Alonzo.
Thank you.
No, but where can people find you, Dugold? Where are you hanging out the most, my friend?
I try to avoid social media these days, to be honest. So mostly just hang out in Brisbane. Try and find a good restaurant, a good bar, but otherwise always keen for a coffee or a chat. So
hang out on LinkedIn as well. Maybe a cheeky DM.
Every now and then.
Okay, very good. Just don't send the sales text, people, please. But
That's
thanks so much.
Way to get unfollowed.
Sorry, what was that?
That's a very quick way to get unfollowed.
Yeah.
Send me generic sales text.
No pitch slaps, people. No pitching. Come on. But nonetheless, thanks so much for being on episode 79, Dugold. It has been illuminating, to say the least. You're an absolute light, mate, and keep on doing what you're doing at 2-3 Legal, my friend.
Cheers, Cullen.
Good man. And if you are a legend of law or know someone who is and you want to be on the LawLive show, we come out every Wednesday with Live with Cullen Haynes, either speaking to a legal legend on LawLive, an accounting legend on Ledger Legends, or just a general wonderful person in the professional world on my Live with Cullen Haynes show. Thank you so much to Legal Home Loans for supporting the show, Australia's only mortgage broking service for lawyers and barristers. And by the way, my book, The Laws of LinkedIn, is now on sale on Amazon for 21% off. Be sure to check it out. Thank you so much for rewatching or re-listening wherever you get your podcasts, and give us a cheeky like and follow as well. And bye for now, everyone. Take care. Make it count. And we're back with some bonus questions for Dugold. How would you explain your role to a child, my friend, to make it as easy as possible with what Dugold does in the legal world?
I usually just say big money fights.
There you go. Dugold
money fights.
Big money fights, big money energy. Let's go. How would your pet describe you, or your fish describe you?
I actually have an amazing cat as well, Hawkeye.
Okay.
Look, he probably just described me as the food bringer, right? Like he loves it. Although I'm probably the hard ass when it comes to that. My fiance, she just loves to overfeed him, but he's diabetic, so he can eat as much as he wants, which is a good thing for him.
Very, very good. And the last one is a bit of a quantum physics type question, time travel. If you could go back in time and speak to the young Dugald Hamilton at any age, what age would you jump into your DeLorean and speak to yourself at? And what would the specific advice you'd give your younger self be, Dugold?
I've never actually contemplated that. I actually don't think I have that much advice for younger self. Probably go back to when I was young teenager going through boarding school. I'd probably just say, don't sweat the big stuff. Don't sweat it. Just, enjoy it while you could, sort of enjoy life. I think ultimately when you're young, you sort of take too much on in your mind, and you sort of then can overstress yourself about things that don't really matter. High school grades seemed like the big important thing at the time, getting that OP to get into law, but I didn't hit it in the end, and had to do I did a year of justice degree and then upgraded to a law, and it probably made me a better lawyer for it. So go from there.
Absolutely. As I think Dr. Richard Carlson, the late great author, once said, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff, right?
Pretty much. I just also got a message from Harry Dell, who says hi, by the way. So
shout out to Harry, the crypto lawyer. We had him on the show a couple of years ago. He's an absolute legend. Be careful on TikTok, because Harry has followers who copy him and who also have hundreds of thousands of followers, which is great, and he doesn't mind. But make sure you follow the real Harry Dell and follow the real Dugald Hamilton as well. He's an absolute legend. Thanks so much there, Dugold, for coming on the show.
Not a problem, mate. Anytime.
All the best, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Bye for now, and make it count. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my book, my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built Legal Home Loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no context, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure. And I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're